Hello, I want to welcome you to another episode of Recovery Today, sponsored by the Recovery Resource Center. My name is Perry Gaidurgis. I'm the host of the show. I'm a local independent filmmaker and writer and media creator. Today we have the newest director, executive director, right? Curtis Paul of the Recovery Resource Center. And I'm really looking forward to hearing sort of the day-to-day operations and what's going on with Recovery to the Recovery Resource Center. So, Curtis, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Curtis, as a member of attending events at the Recovery Resource Center, and now you in this new leadership role for the last several months now, how has that been for you?
It's exciting. There's some big changes in the future, at least that I would like to see. We're working on expanding our programming and reaching more individuals in the community, and changing the face of RRC. You know, I think that's why they brought me in as an individual in recovery. I can relate to the population we serve. I also am familiar with the treatment centers in the area. I've worked with many of them, still do, and the future's bright for RRC.
Okay, so currently then, what does RRC do right now, currently?
We host a variety of support groups, 12-step meetings, and offer educational workshops. We do Narcan trainings occasionally, CPR classes, stress management, self-empowerment workshop, and then we host a variety of events. Thanksgiving is coming up. We do a Christmas party. Just a good, clean, drug-free, safe space. That's kind of the premise of RRC is a comfortable environment to spend time with like-minded individuals.
Okay, and with that, there's a saying that addiction, well, first of all, it hijacks your brain, and the other thing is it's an equal opportunity destroyer, meaning there's a wide variety of people who are affected by a substance use disorder. And your center, all the times that I go there, has quite a diverse group of folks that it gets beyond a stereotype, wouldn't you say, of who's affected by addiction?
Absolutely. It does not discriminate. That's something I've said for years, that anyone at any time can be affected by addiction, directly or indirectly. There's such a problem with prescription medication that's what leads to a lot of the problem. You don't see it coming. You think the doctor's prescribed this medication, it's safe for me to take. Then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're dependent on the medication, and it just gets out of control quickly from there. That's my story. It's a similar story to a lot of people. So yeah, we see individuals coming in from all walks of life. Different ages, different neighborhoods that they come from, even different counties, different states. Virginia, Delaware, people come from all over the place to find help with their recovery. And it's an ongoing thing. It's a lifetime process is working on recovery, and like you said, it can affect anyone at any time. So it's important to reach out and give help to others as often as you can. That's the whole premise of recovery, is to give back what you've learned, and that's what I've done at this point. Is it helps me stay on the right track to help others.
Okay. You mentioned Narcan training, and you mentioned events, and you had a recent this International Overdose Awareness Candlelight Vigilant, and I attended some of that event. And there's also a separate show that covers that event that was produced here out of PAC 14. Can you tell the viewers what is Narcan and and the importance of that, how it's saving lives, as it were.
Well, Narcan is a opioid overdose reversing drug. It stops the effects of the opioids in your system and can bring you back to life. It's an amazing thing. It works just like Afrin, like a nasal spray.
Okay.
It just absorbs into the mucous membranes of your nose. You don't have to inhale it. The person doesn't have to be conscious. They don't even have to be breathing for it to work. And it's fast acting. It's not dangerous. You can, even if someone isn't suffering from an overdose, but you aren't sure, you can still give them Narcan. It's not going to hurt them. It's safe for anyone that comes in contact with it. And it's saved a number of lives. Pharmacies give it out for free at this point. The health department does trainings, all over town. They try to get as much out into the community as possible because it's really making some big changes in the amount of overdose-related deaths. Just by having it accessible at this point and free, it's making a big difference, saving a lot of lives.
Okay. For our viewers, when they wonder, how can I help directly or indirectly a person that suffers from addiction or is in their recovery process, either early on or later on, and how can they help, even like your center? Is there a way, direct and maybe indirect, that the community that's watching this can help support the efforts that you're doing?
Absolutely. Our center is entirely funded by private donations. We don't get any government funding, no public money at all. It's from, it's sponsored, and, the doors and the lights are kept on by the generosity of community members. There's several large businesses. United Way supports us, Avery Hall, Purdue, many more, and private individuals that are, have been affected by addiction themselves or know someone who has, sponsor the center. So that's something that is always a big help, is
An actual financial donation.
an actual financial donation. We have a website, rrcsby.org. There's a donate button right on the website. It's very easy to use. Now, as far as helping somebody that is suffering from addiction, the best thing that you can do is to reach out for help. Either get them to reach out for help or you reach out for help on their behalf.
Now, that would be something like the COATS team?
The COAT team, yeah, the Community Outreach Addictions Team. The number's 443-783-6875.
Okay.
You can also call 211. That's might be easier to remember. 211 will connect you with the COAT team. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what the COAT team does is they connect individuals with treatment. We do the recovery part of it, but the inpatient, outpatient treatment is where you start, in the recovery process, and that's what the COAT team is for.
Okay. So let's stop back. This has been really helpful because, as the name implies, the Recovery Resource Center, you are a resource in the best possible way in terms of networking with the variety of additional support and help, as it were, for somebody wherever they're at along the way of their recovery journey, as it is. So with that in mind, can we talk a couple minutes about your recovery journey? And what is that? How has that been for you? Starting with maybe your moment of truth, as it were, or what became your bottom, as some people would call that.
Well, that's tough. It's different for everyone. Some bottoms. A bottom is a real personal thing. It's an individual choice. It's the moment that you realize you need to you don't want to live this way anymore. And that's what happened to me, is I got tired of just addiction in general, just being less than I knew I could be.
Okay.
So I ended up going to prison for a little while, from making some poor choices. But it was a life lesson. I learned more about myself in that time than I think I had in the 30 years before that happened. It saved my life. I'm not sure I would have stopped on my own, but being put in that environment forced me to take a look at myself and the choices I had made and really take a personal inventory. And when I was released, I knew I didn't want to go back. And recidivism is a common occurrence for someone who's in the system. When you're part of the system and on parole or probation, it's common to go back. And I knew I didn't want to do that. So I signed up for college because I knew education's always a good idea. So I went in that direction, and it was a great decision because it connected me with people that are trying to better themselves. They're trying to improve their lives and trying to grow mentally and, in their career. So I met someone from the COAT team, and she was also taking classes. And that's when I learned about, helping others with their recovery. I knew that I was okay at that point, but I didn't realize what I had to give back. There was a lot of information, a lot of mistakes that I made, a lot that I learned along the journey. And if I could turn around and give that back, then it meant something. It was a way to take the bad and turn it into a good. So that's when everything changed for me. I started working for the state. I started putting myself out there. I started telling my story, trying to reduce the stigma around addiction, trying to bring light to the epidemic by showing that it's never too late, that anyone can get better and that they can surprise you in the end. And now I'm in a position that I never thought I would be in. It's given my life purpose. Before addiction, I was contributing member. I paid taxes. I, did everything that a person's supposed to do, but I had no real direction in life. And now I wake up with purpose every morning. I know that what I'm doing is helping better the world around me. And it's a feeling that, it just warms the heart to know that I can help others in the situation I'm in from what I learned from my mistakes. So,
Wow. You just gave me a flood of thoughts. One is, you said, who would have thunk, you'd be in this role? And again, to our viewers, both of Curtis and myself are recipients of the criminal justice system, and I can just as equally say prison saved my life, and my criminal justice involvement it too, with addiction so looming throughout my life, and the choices, the bad choices I made, or how just because we make mistakes doesn't make us a mistake. And really, you reminded me is the other idea that it's not about bad people trying to get good, more about sick people trying to get well, and how that doesn't happen in a vacuum. You mentioned education and how important that is. And I actually had a question about that to you, and that was, as a returning student and with a substance use disorder and a criminal justice background, as you have navigated college, what would you say to somebody who is considering that, that maybe hasn't gone back to college or would like to, who maybe has a substance use disorder, whatever their age is? Because you were, 30 or early 30s going back to school. I was in my mid-20s or so when I went back to college. But what would you say to somebody like that?
Well, the first thing that I would say is that it's easier than you think. I know I wasn't the best high school student. I got okay grades, but I didn't put the effort in. I just kind of skated through and just get it over with. But when you make the choice to go back to school for yourself, it's a totally different process. When you're there for yourself, you care about your grades, and the work you put in, you're rewarded with a good grade. And that effort reward system is really what kept me going in the beginning, because I could see an immediate response from what I was doing. And that meant everything, because I could see how what I was learning and what I was applying to, my studies was that it was taking me in the right direction. I was getting good grades. The teachers were responding to me. The students were responding. It was a feeling of positivity that I hadn't felt in a while. When you're in addiction, you feel like everything's lost. So it was nice to be in that environment. The other thing is, it's not as expensive as people think. There's financial aid, there's student loans, there's a lot of possibilities out there to get you in. And even if you don't know what you want to take, I didn't know what I wanted to take. I just got my foot in the door. Once I was there, once I was talking to other students, talking to the teachers, just in that learning environment, you figure it out real quick, because it comes to you. It finds you. If you keep doing well and you keep getting good grades and you keep putting yourself out there, your path will find you.
Awesome. There's so much talk about what education can do for folks. Just the idea of freedom and economics and just life quality, as it were, as you're describing. What is your vision for Recovery Resource Center? Sort of looking, you alluded to it in the beginning, but is there anything you're able to share or tell us in terms of what you might see as a vision of what, more concretely, what you guys are going to do or like to do?
Absolutely. Right now we're working on partnering up with the other treatment centers. Treatment is a full circle event. You start out with inpatient or outpatient treatment. Then you move into the reintegration recovery phase. And that's what we do at RRC. So we're partnering up with the other treatment facilities so that they send us people that complete their program, because we offer what they can't. We continue on the treatment journey that they've started. So that aftercare is so important. So many people get into treatment, they finish, they complete their inpatient, and they don't work on their recovery at all. And that ends up being a pitfall. So
would that mean like peer support and in a more sort of concrete way of what even some people would call recovery coaching and those kind of support more specifically that you're talking about right now?
Yeah, peer support is a valuable resource. The almost most treatment centers and even the state sees the value in peers and how someone that has learned from their own experiences with addiction can help someone help someone greatly. So.
Okay.
Where we're going with that is, when I say that we can offer what they can't, is they have a clinical aspect. They do, treatment on a clinical level. We do the reentry level. So there's certain things that they would like to see. parenting classes, employment readiness, like resume building, job seeking, self-help groups, stress management, things like that,
Okay.
they would love to see their clients continue on the recovery journey by learning some of those things. So that's what's in the works right now. We're expanding our programming to offer more of the reentry aspect.
Yeah,
Okay.
that key support.
That key support, the recovery of, when you're in addiction, I should probably start from the beginning. When you're in addiction, you're going to check out from life for a little bit. Okay, you're not continuing on, you're not doing things, a lot of people aren't doing things day to day that a lot of others do in society. So I know for me personally, I wasn't working on my credit, I wasn't building equity, I wasn't learning job skills, I wasn't doing the things that now I need to do day to day. So when I got clean, it was important for me to learn those things, but there wasn't a lot of places to, get all that information in one. So that's where I'm coming from with it, is my own personal journey. I know what I was missing, and that's what I think would be great for us to have, is the key components that people need to stay clean.
With the holidays, people are going to be watching this, and it's the holiday season now. We're filming this on the day before Thanksgiving, and as you watch this, the Christmas holidays will be upon us. Maybe more specific to that, then, in this stressful time, as it is for anybody, normal or otherwise, what could you maybe say to the community, whether the recovering community, as to what they can do to be of service, be of sustainable recovery or live recovery?
Sure, that's that is a tough time of year. Holidays are very difficult for individuals in recovery or those struggling with addiction currently, because it's easy to get alienated from friends and family when you're living in your own struggle. And that's why at the Resource Center we are having a Thanksgiving. It's a whole day. It's noon to 5. We're going to have food, games, television, football, parade on. It's a safe space to spend your time if you don't have somewhere to go, if you don't, have anything, family related going on, or even if you wanted to bring your family. The recovery community is a family. We're all going through the same thing. And that's what's so important and so great to see, is the support that those in recovery offer others. They pick you up when you're down. They help you through your struggles. And by doing that, it ends up helping yourself. So that's what I would say. I would say come out to the center, join us for Thanksgiving, join us for Christmas, or find another nonprofit that you want to volunteer at. It really helps someone in recovery to help others. So, there's a lot of good organizations in this area in Salisbury that have things going on for the holidays. So find something that speaks to you, find something that you can relate to, and offer your time. That volunteering really brings things full circle. It really helps you to feel good about yourself when you're helping others.
Awesome. Love that answer. Yeah, it very much is about compassion and giving back and paying it forward and passing it on. And certainly you personally obviously are doing that in your leadership, and also the center itself and all the folks that attend that and are benefiting from that, and our community. And so with that, I want to thank you, Curtis, for coming today to interview. You've watched another episode of Recovery Today, and me as your host, Perry Gaidurgis. And again, what is real key to know that recovery is a process, and it's not a straight line. And with that in mind, it is very important to get whatever help and support you can get along the journey. And hopefully you will then also pay it forward, as the Recovery Resource Center does for our community. So thank you for viewing this episode.